Hello there, everybody. Hope you're having a good day so far and have had a good weekend. We'll give a couple minutes for people to join us, but as we're waiting, just take a moment now to really arrive in your seat. Maybe notice your breath. Notice the seat beneath you. Just take a moment to really arrive here right now. Whatever thoughts of the past, things that happened before this moment, we can try to let those go. Thoughts of the future, plans, to-do lists, see how much we can put those to the side right now. Thoughts even of the present moment, analyzing our current experience, see how much you can also let those thoughts be. See how much you can really just sit right here, right now, as we give people a few moments to gather. Try not to fabricate your experience, not meditating, just sitting as you are at this moment right now. We'll give about another minute just in case we have any other people coming. As we wait just a minute longer, take a moment to notice your body. However you're seated currently, notice your body. See if you can notice the stillness in your body. Even in movement, there is a stillness inherent in your body. See if you can just notice it. And then see if you can notice that same stillness outside of your body. Now see if you can get in touch with your inner silence. This silence is in the backdrop of every thought we have, every image, every memory or emotion. There's still a silence that's always present around the thoughts, between the thoughts, behind the thoughts, in front of the thoughts. See if you can notice that silence. Now see if you can notice that same silence outside of your body. And finally, now see if you can notice the space that's already present in your mind. We don't have to make this space, we just have to notice it. Notice how your mind feels much bigger than just that organ between your ears. Notice that space. How big is it? Does it have boundaries? See if you can notice that space outside of your mind. And notice if there's any difference between the space in your mind and the space outside of your mind. And there's no wrong or right answer, so don't worry. Just ask the question and let it go. Perfect. So happy to see you all tonight. I hope you've had a good week and are getting ready for the week ahead. Tonight, we're going to do a meditation on compassion. So it is kind of connected actually to the meditation we did a couple weeks ago. There are these 4 states of mind or 4 emotions that are called the Brahma Viharas, or the 4 boundless states of mind, or boundless wisdoms or boundless emotions. And those 4 are love or loving kindness, compassion, happiness in the happiness of others, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. So 2 weeks ago, we did a meditation on love, loving kindness, or metta, which is the Pali word, or Maitri, which is the Sanskrit word, where we look at other people and we try to wish happiness for them. And we go back to this idea or concept that every single being, every single sentient being that is on this planet or planets has 2 same things in common. They wish to be happy and they wish to be free from suffering. So you can reflect on that for a moment. All actions that are undertaken are to find happiness or peace, or to eliminate suffering. So when we do loving kindness meditation or metta meditation, we picture a series of people and we wish happiness for them. We start generally with either ourselves or someone who we feel unconditional love or kindness for. Then we move to a neutral person. Then we move to a person we have difficulties with, and eventually we move out to all beings. And we can actually do this with each of the 4 Brahma Viharas: love, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. And this is a very classical path to follow. When I first started meditating seriously, I did this whole series of meditations for about 6 months, spending a fair amount of time on each one and each being as well. So you can really spend a lot of time with it. Some people only do this practice. It's good practice for focus. And we use our mind quite actively when we do this meditation because we're thinking of people, we're repeating words in our head or out loud. And that is helpful because we're kind of grabbing that brain that's usually thinking and we're using it. And then these meditations also help us to cultivate these states of mind. So I'm going to talk briefly about compassion and then we'll jump into the meditation. So compassion meditation, all of them take the same structure as metta, which you may remember from 2 weeks ago, but I'll guide us through it. So compassion or Karuna. Karuna is the Sanskrit word and the Pali word. It's actually the same word, Karuna. It's a little different than the way we think of compassion in the English language. Or you could even think that maybe we kind of confuse compassion with some other things. So compassion from this point of view is to see someone suffering and to want to relieve that suffering. So it's not quite the same thing as empathy. although empathy can be a cause of compassion. So when we're empathetic, we feel other people's pain. When we're compassionate, we may feel the other person's pain, but there's a drive to eliminate that pain, to find a way to relieve it. So some people argue that empathy has a certain amount, there's a certain amount of empathy we can feel before we burn out, because we're taking on what that other person is feeling. And we have a personal limit to that will burn out eventually. And the argument goes that compassion, on the other hand, if we're able to tap into true compassion, there's no limit to the actions we can accomplish, and we're not suffering as a result of it. So I think it's difficult to see people suffering, and we're seeing a lot of it in the world right now. And we need to be compassionate towards ourselves when we do these kind of practices and see where our limits are. But it's also okay to be a little bit uncomfortable, because seeing suffering is uncomfortable. And I think if we can do it in little steps and get used to it, it won't be so awkward or uncomfortable anymore. And when we do practices like this, we're safe, we're not actively relieving compassion, we're working on cultivating this mind of compassion. And then we trust this practice is going to serve us when we go about our day-to-day lives. So we started with loving kindness, wishing happiness for other people. And now we're looking at the flip side. So we wish happiness, and then we also wish to relieve suffering. It's the same process as metta, but the phrase we're going to use is very simple. It's just, may you be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May you be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. So I'll repeat them over and over again. And after the meditation, you can look up other phrases. You can use words that work for you. You don't have to use these ones, but we'll use them now because that's what we have. And we'll picture different people and just wish that they could be free from suffering. And what would that look like? And you'll see, we'll start with people that it's easier for and move to more difficult people. But it is an interesting question to think about people who cause harm, and how would their actions be different if they weren't suffering? And how do people who cause harm, in what ways are they suffering? It's an interesting question. So you can take your seat now. Try to have your back relatively straight for yourself. So we all have different postures. Just find a relatively straight posture that works for you. You can put your hands on your knees. You can also do the mudra of meditative equipoise, which is the left hand. So you're going to have to mirror image me. So your left hand cups the right hand and the thumbs gently touch about 4 finger widths below your navel. And for this meditation, you can keep your eyes open or closed. I'll leave it up to you. So let's begin. And as we get started, we can set our motivation or intention for the practice. The big motivation, or bodhicitta, or the motivation of awakened mind, is, may I see my true potential, may I realize my true potential so I may lead all others to realize that same potential. But you can also set any other kind of motivation that works for you tonight. May I be calm. May I be compassionate. May I be peaceful. Setting that motivation and then letting it go. And now see how much you can really rest and relax into your posture. Letting go any physical tension that you can. And see if you can get in touch with that spacious nature of mind. It can help to notice the space around you, the literal space. Notice sounds, sensations in the body. All these things come into awareness, and we can actually let our mind be just as it is. As I said earlier, totally unfabricated. No need to control. Just allow the mind to be as it is, totally effortlessly. Just like watching the water run through a river as we sit on the bank, watching the flow of experience go by. Now we'll start by bringing to mind someone who we feel unconditional love for. Could be a child, a pet, a benefactor, a parent, someone who it will take you no effort to send the sincere wish to relieve their suffering. Think of this person, hold their presence in your mind, maybe visualize them and their name. And then we'll start to repeat the words either out loud or mentally. May you be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May you be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. You can imagine how this person would be if they were completely free from all causes, all sources of suffering. May you be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May you be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. Just having this person in mind and repeating the words again, either out loud or in your mind at a pace that is comfortable for you. Whenever distraction arises for you, just gently bring your mind back. No need to worry about the distraction before or the ones that will come after. All that matters is in that moment of distraction to notice, come back to the person, and the simple phrase, may you be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May you be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And now you can gently let your visualization, let this person go. And now we're going to turn to look at ourselves. Self-compassion is so powerful, something we tend not to do very often. If you find yourself very uncomfortable with the idea of self-compassion, what you can do is picture someone else saying the words to you, someone you know who cares for you. So that's an option, or you can just bring yourself to mind and wish yourself this freedom from suffering. May I be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May I be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May I be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. Just keeping yourself in mind as you are right now and repeating the phrase. May I be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May I be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And even if you don't feel that feeling of compassion, even if it's just repeating the words and seeing yourself, that's all you need. Emotion will come and go. We don't need to make any sort of experience. We can just do the practice. May I be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. Now you can let that go as well. Now we're going to move on to someone neutral. This could be someone whose name you may or may not know, but someone who's familiar enough that you can kind of picture their face. It could be someone at the grocery store, your mailman, dry cleaner, someone who you don't have strong feelings for either way. You neither like nor dislike them. You can settle on this person now. Don't worry too much about getting it right. Just whoever you have in mind, go for that. And we're going to try to see this person the same way we saw ourselves and saw our loved one. That same wish to be free from suffering, and how wonderful it would be if that was so. So having this person in mind and repeating the words towards them now. May you be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May you be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May you be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And as we do the practice, see how much you can relax and rest into the practice. Even as we visualize and repeat the words, we actually don't need to apply a lot of energy. See from how much of a place of rest you can do this practice. From this easy, restful posture, may you be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And now you can let that person go as well. Take a brief moment now just to rest back into open awareness. Letting go of thoughts of the past. Letting go of thoughts of the future. Even thoughts of the present moment. Analysis of our current experience, how well we're doing in our meditation. See how much you can just let those thoughts be. See how much you can relax and rest right now. No need to do anything with the mind. Nothing to improve, nothing to fix. Now we're going to move on to someone we have some difficulty with. So we don't need to go crazy here and pick someone who's caused us a lot of harm or someone who's causing the world a lot of harm. Just pick someone small to start with. Maybe someone you've had a disagreement with or who annoys you. Take a moment to think of this person. Bring them to mind. And see if you can see in this person the same wish to be free from suffering that we saw in ourselves, in our loved one, in the neutral person we chose. This thread that connects each one of us, this simple desire to be free from suffering. And now with this person in mind, you can start to repeat the phrase, may you be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May you be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May you be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. Remembering it's okay to not feel this compassion. It's okay if it takes a little effort. No need to force any feeling or fabricate any experience. Just bringing the mind back to that person and the phrase, may you be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May you be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And now you can let this person go. And now we're really going to open up and expand past this circle we've created, maybe thinking even of just a 5 kilometer radius around where you currently are. How many different beings inhabit that 5 kilometer radius? From the very smallest beings you can imagine to the largest: people, bugs, animals, birds, things in the sky, things in the water. You can open up to all those beings and just have fun with it. Let your mind go where it does, whatever beings you can imagine. As we repeat the words, may all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. Let's see if we can expand that circle even bigger. Imagine now 50-kilometer radius. Even in that 50 kilometers, an almost countless number of beings. The amount of ants, the amount of crickets, frogs, birds, people. Letting your mind open up to all of them with that same simple wish. May you be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. Now just allow your mind to expand as far as it can. The mind can expand as far as your imagination can expand. Countless billions upon billions of beings inside this circle of awareness, repeating the words, may all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And then you can let that go as well. And take a moment to come back to that restful posture. Just sitting and knowing that you're sitting is enough. Nothing to improve, nothing to change. Letting the mind be just as it is. And as we finish our practice for tonight, We can take a moment to dedicate the merit. May whatever benefit we receive through this practice be shared with all who need it. Okay. Take a couple minutes now in case anyone had any questions you wanted to pop into the little chat box on the side there. These practices are really great. They can be like medicine, really, for our negative mind states. And sometimes when we're not feeling great, depressed, anxious, it can seem like the last thing we'd want to do is a practice where we look at other people's suffering and want to relieve it. But in a strange way, that act can actually make us feel better. And it's not just these teachings or this philosophy that says that. There's lots of science out there now that shows acts of compassion, acting compassionately, does reflect back into us, does actually make us happier, gives us more space, more ability to be with our own suffering, and more ability to be self-compassionate. It's like a secret sauce to anything, really. So as we go into the week ahead, for your formal practice, if you wish, you could try out doing some compassion meditation. As always, I think short times, many times, is a great way to start, depending on what kind of time you have. So if you can even manage just 5 minutes a day, try to do that, because you'll build momentum in your practice if you're able to do that. So 5 minutes as a good starting point, trying to get it in daily. And of course, if you have more time, go for it. And for informal practice, trying to build a bridge between our practice on the cushion and our practice in daily life. Maybe once a day, let's say 3 times a day, when you notice someone or something, some being, just mentally wish them that phrase, may you be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. Could be a car that drives by, could be someone you share your home with, could be someone at the grocery store. Just a brief moment, bring that phrase to mind as you see them. Doing that 3 times a day plus your cushion practice, you'll be able to start to really merge the two. And it can be really fun too. You know, you're not doing anything else, you're waiting in line at the grocery store, you can just practice a little compassion meditation. Just don't stare at people too long. You might get freaked out. Thank you everyone for joining me tonight. Hope you have a wonderful week. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you live with ease. And may you be free.